Sup, bitch. First of all, it is a vacation for me now because I just finished my last exam and I can't really scream right now because there's people in the house and I don't want to be too loud. But still, yippee! So let's go. School is. I get to have a break from school for a bit. But first of all, you're gonna have to give me a moment because my phone camera cannot switch to selfie camera mid recording for some reason. So I'm just gonna have to hope that I was on screen properly. Give me a second. Okay, I hope the angle is a bit good, man, because I can see what you can see right now, because this isn't recorded on selfie camera. So sub bitch, face reveal. So that's awesome. Uh, so maybe at some different angles because I can't really see how you can see me right now. So I'm going to turn back the camera now. Okay, hopefully I didn't dox myself and reveal my entire house. So, okay, let's take a look. I had to think for a second because of the face reveal thing. Okay, yeah, so so the drawing you're seeing on screen right now, sorry, I got a bit too carried away. So let's just start the video before I ramble too much. So what you're seeing right now is kind of like a cinematic drawing I made, but this wasn't really, how to say, this drawing is just for beauty, because I had this idea in my head and I thought it looked so cool that I wanted to draw it out, and as you can see, it looks really cool, so that worked out. So this drawing isn't really necessary, and it also would have been maybe more useful if I made like a drawing that explained things more, but I like this more, so I had to draw this, okay? You can't blame me, this looks awesome. Okay, so basically for this video, I had an idea on the bus to change the plot of Celestials a little bit. If you remember from my previous video. So we know the story of Celestials already, and so basically I had an idea to change the things rounding up to the plot a little bit. So you remember Ferratu, the evil version of Inferno, to recap real quick, came in his universe via a black hole, which is kind of like multiverse stuff, but I don't really like multiverse explanations because it is everywhere these days. Every game you play, every movie you see, there's always a multiverse, and I'm just a bit tired of it. So I thought, why not ditch that idea and go for something else? And I thought, maybe there's something that would be much more interesting, right? So then I came up with this cool little idea, and you can kind of see it in the cinematic. So I need to think about the story again, right? Okay, so basically on a mission. Okay, wait, yeah, let's start from the beginning. So basically in the Celestials show or whatever the idea I had for it, you would also have two books, right? You had to basically have the book of good, the book of evil. So basically like the Bible and like the book of Satan, kind of. But they would work a little different in this universe. I mean in this franchise. So you know how light and dark are the strongest elements, so like good and bad, blah 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 blah. You already know that stuff. So we'd have the good book, the bad book, and the hero force would have the good book. But the how do you say it? Which would give them a lot of information and would explain some of their technology and stuff to help them with everything. For example, every hero would have a special hero crystal, like I said, to teleport around and stuff. So that book would explain all of this. But then there's also a book for the bad guys, the villains. There's also a book of Vile Darkness, for example. Now, so they have the good book, but the villains haven't found the bad book yet. Basically, after a lot of ramsack and a whole dingadoody, after a whole bunch of stuff happening, they find the criminals, the villains. They find the book of Vile Darkness, or whatever you want to call it. That's kind of like from Dungeons and Dragons, if I'm correct, but it's a very cool name. And so basically there would be a villain that's kind of like supposed to be like the final villain of the show. It'd be this like evil wizard that has mastered like the dark element and like sorcerer spells with it. Basically, think of Vecna from Dead by Daylight, but more with the dark elements and like cool shadow spells and powers and stuff. And so basically this would be the leader of the criminals, and they would hide under a city of how do you say it? Like a city like the ones we have in real life. So remember how I said that in Celestials, they would live in tribes and villages, and it would kind of look like in Zelda Breath of the Wild. Well, because the world is so big, there would be areas that would be different, but away from their society. So you'd have cities just like in real life, with big skyscrapers, kind of like New York. But these areas would be known as like the depressing parts of the world, because all the other parts are living a way better life. Without living in like shitty New York cities with like ads everywhere and stuff. And so basically this is where the average people would be, who don't really have superpowers, but I mean at least like just how do you say it? You would also have people without superpowers in the other societies. But basically see it as like a really depressed city, like depressed town, kind of. And so the criminals would hide there because it's a very good hiding spot. They would hide in the sewers and have an entire layer underneath. The people there don't really catch on to them, and it's not really like they could do much about them. And so basically they find the Book of Evil, and so this wizard guy, this evil wizard guy, is the leader of it all. So then on a mission to get it back, because they heard about this or whatever, the heroes go on a mission to find them and get the book back, because it's very dangerous. And so they bring one of the best heroes with them, not Inferno actually. It's I have to explain him in the future, but it's like a light element angel type of guy who has light spells, sort of. And of course light counters dark, so very smart. And so Inferno is also in the team, and they go on a big mission with a bunch of other heroes. And so they go underground and stuff, and basically it kind of becomes like a jigsaw thing where they have to solve traps and puzzles to get to the wizards, and eventually basically they get him. The angel guy beats the wizard with light powers, but then he teleports the angel guy somewhere else, and how do you say, the other heroes are busy elsewhere, so now it's just Inferno against the wizard basically. And so Inferno finishes him off, even though he was already wounded. He kills the wizard, and then he grabs the Book of Vile Darkness, or Evil, or whatever you want to call it. But then there's this thing, in the last dying attempt, the book also kind of has a life of its own, because it's like kind of like the Book of Satan or whatever. Wait, I'm talking a bit fast. Hope you can understand me, actually. I didn't notice that yet. Okay, so... in the last attempt, the evil wizard guy, kind of lets the book take life of its own, and as Inferno touches it, he basically gets like slammed to the wall, in like a big shockwave, and he basically kind of goes unconscious. And as you can kind of see in the cinematic, I drew it very dramatically here. The book sort of copies Inferno, but then without a soul, and makes like an evil version of him, which would be Feratu, as we discussed in the previous video, but now without the multiverse stuff, of course. And the thing is, if you remember, the thing with the staff that could reset the universe, the knowledge of that the staff is there is also in that book, but it wasn't in the hero book, because the gods of the universe didn't want to put too much under their noses to keep the balance a little bit. But why would Satan keep that out of his book? So, of course, that was in there, and basically... Feratu gets all the memories from the book and all the knowledge, and also kind of from the wizard. So basically he takes the wizard's place and becomes even stronger, kind of. So he gets access to Inferno's fire powers, and also to all the dark powers, and a lot of knowledge of the universe. And because he doesn't have a soul, he's completely psychopathic. Like, we're talking like the worst of the worst. Like rape, slavery, racism, murder, you name it, this guy would do it, basically. So this guy's like the worst guy of the worst villain, criminal of them all. So he would be the final villain of the series. So this is kind of an alternate way of getting to the origin of Feratu, which sounds a lot more interesting in my opinion. So I decided to go with this instead of the multiverse explanation, right? And now I have to think where the story went further. I think, yeah, okay. So this just explains the origin of him, not what goes after that, and I already discussed that in the previous video, as you remember. So basically, this is now the new origin of Inferatu instead of the multiverse explanation. So I changed the plot a little bit. Well, I mean, like the plot is still the same, but the way it begins is a bit different, if you get what I mean. And so in this cinematic, you can kind of see it in like a really cool way. So Inferno kind of like, so how do you say it, kind of touches the book, and then in his mind you can see like there's like a dark sludge layer. So this is like how he touches the book kind of. And then in the shadows you can see like Ferrato, the completely evil, soulless version of him, with like glowing evil eyes. And you can see it just looks really cool and creepy. Like this just looks something straight out of like a professional. How do you say it? This reminds me of Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Like the way it looks so cinematic, like a fairy tale. And I really like this. And so here Ferrato just looks like a shadowy figure, but you already saw his design in a really old video of mine. You can scroll down on my channel to find it again. And I'm going to update his design in a future video, because his design looks a little different now. Basically, instead of a sword, he now has like a hammer with a spear point on top. That because he can swing it very fast and hard because he's so strong. So it's basically like a really strong hammer, but also a really elegant spear at the same time. So I thought that would be a cool weapon for him, and it would be chained up to his arm with like a portal, so he could summon the weapon at any time because, well, dark like element powers. Ferratu would now also, how do you see it, his color palette. Like here the red would be black, and he would now also have gold. His decorations would look a bit different. Like you can see here, the shoulder pads have spikes on them. His face would look more like a skull, and he would just look a lot more like vile and evil compared to Inferno. So that's just to give you an idea of what his redesign would look like. But his old design from my old video comes pretty close, but I'll update this in a future video. Okay, I actually want to keep this video a bit short because I have some other stuff to do still. I also have to record another video after this because I'm batching 2 videos in a row. And this, how do you say it? Not every video has to be like 30 minutes, so I just do whatever I feel like in this kind of case, and now I thought a shorter video would be more fit for this, because this doesn't need a 30-minute explanation. Okay, this is the first time in a long time I did a short video and a face reveal. So, I hope you enjoyed, and wait, let me zoom out again real quick on my face, so I hope the camera angle is a bit good. Hide. Wait, hold on, I need to think for a second. Yeah, okay, that was everything I had to say. So, I hope you enjoyed the video, and see you in the next one. Bye, bitch.